Hi everybody, this is Not Your Average 9 to 5, and we are back basically from hiatus, but this is technically my first real episode. I have a couple other episodes, but I kind of reinvented my channel, and this is the first episode since then. And I'm excited to talk with you all today. It's a very interesting time. So I'm getting the perspective from my the older generation, from my mom today. She's going to be a guest, Elizabeth Worfbane, and we're actually on the way to the airport. So this is being done in the car to pick up my brother. So, yeah, since school has been halted for the next couple of weeks, he's coming home. And, yeah, so let's get started. So, how are you feeling?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah. But what are you thinking about what's going on right now?
I think I worry that we don't know what's going to unfold.
Yeah.
So the not knowing makes it hard. It almost makes me feel paranoid and a little bit of a hypochondriac. Like right now I want to cough and I feel like, oh my God, that means something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I felt achy in my hip yesterday, and I was like, it was probably from walking on the beach, and I thought, I'm flu-like symptoms. So, and then I'm wondering when the population is going to really get it, because we don't know anyone who has it. And it hasn't really hit Cape Cod. So, I don't know. It seems far from me. You know, the idea that people die from this. Right?
I think, like, lately people have just been disassociated from reality. Because everyone's like, oh, this doesn't affect me. This doesn't affect me. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, it does affect me. And there's a lot of things happening that are affecting me. And it kind of makes you, like, bring you back down to earth a little bit and kind of make you realize, like, what really is important. It makes you also, like, question different things in our society. Like, what do we really need? Like, what really matters? What is really, like, necessary?
Right.
And what really, like, counts at a time like this? And we even, like, what I've been thinking was weird is we think about all this, like, weird symbolism. And I found what was kind of odd to me is it's weird how in China, even though, like, they're saying that's kind of stagnating now, obviously we're talking, if anyone doesn't know, which I'd be very surprised, we're talking about the COVID-19 corona virus that is, like, kind of just, like, blew everything up in the past, like, month, like, but obviously a couple of months, but in the past week, it's been crazy. And really, like, we don't really know. Like, there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of, like, miscommunication. I think this whole situation was, like, handled so poorly on so many levels. And, you know, you look at other countries and you say, you know, it's good that at least they're quarantining the way they're quarantining. And I know the U.S. is starting to follow suit, but it's just, like, I feel like everything has been so, I don't know, like, it hasn't really been that well communicated as well as maybe it could have been, and maybe in the future.
How serious it is.
I think, like, we should have been quarantined like this last week, not this week, because already so many people have it.
I know, it's weird. Is it inevitable, and you're supposed to let it happen and then you quarantine, or is it we quarantine and then it passes us like a wave and we escape it? Like, I just don't know what it is.
I don't know.
I know either. You know what I mean? If we all quarantined before it really hit, is that the right thing to do?
It's almost like they want us to quarantine until they have a vaccine. I don't know.
They say they're a month away from a vaccine, so that's
and they're
possible.
Quarantining us for like a month.
Yeah, because they'll probably see that it's probably worse than we think.
I mean, if anyone's seen Contagion, I really highly recommend, as long as you're, like, not really like easily freaked out. I think everyone should see it because it's actually very similar to what's happening right now, except in Contagion, obviously the disease is worse and it's really like intense.
Is it a flu kind of disease?
But yeah, it's a novel disease, just like, and
People died.
it's a virus too, but the higher percent of death. But it's very much similar to like what's happening right now. And I think people should definitely like watch it just because it's very interesting. But, you know, even what I thought was weird too is like, I guess it is weird as I was going back to like what really matters, what we really need, what as consumers do we really need. It's important to see that. Apparently it's toilet paper, but I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is that what I'm trying to say is that in China right now, they said this is the first time they can see the sky in some of the cities, like Beijing, like because nobody's going out, so they're not using the same level of they're not creating the same amount of pollution, and this is the first time that like the pollution level has been this low.
Wow.
So for me, that speaks volumes. It's almost like, what could we be doing differently to be more sustainable? And what do we really need as a world? Like, I think sometimes our values are messed up. And I think that like this is making us realize like all the things we thought that could protect us, the false hope from consumerism culture, the false hope from advertising and all these like propaganda, like all these like big houses, big cars, they're not the things that can protect us from something like this. They're not the things. I mean, maybe a house, because like you need a house to hide, I guess, but like what I mean is like all that like extra stuff isn't necessarily the stuff that can protect us. Like it goes deeper than that. It's like living off the land can protect us more in this situation. Using less like emissions is more helpful in this situation. Being more in touch with nature is more helpful in this situation than like us spending money on like unnecessary items, like the unnecessary kind of like luxury items. So that's kind of where I think everyone's kind of seeing that, and like that really needs to be shown. Like, we're not indestructible. Yes, we can build and learn and grow and strengthen, but like we need to be humble and really see what truly matters, because it's not as simple. Like, society can be destroyed in a second. Like, technology can be destroyed in a second. It's like who we are as humans and nature are the things that will keep us going. So I think that's like really powerful, and people need to realize that like, yes, the world is better than it was 1,000 years ago. It's more likely to survive on a day-to-day basis, and we learn and we grow, and we better in the sense of like, I feel like the day-to-day life can be like easier now. But like what I'm trying to say is like at the end of the day, all like the extra things that like give us false sense of security can be destroyed, and what's left is us and nature and learning to be one with nature. And this was always something that we needed to see, and I'm really hoping that people see that. Like, nature is queen. Like, we ought to respect our world. That's really what I feel. And I think that people are seeing that more and more, hopefully. But I think society needs to go past the surface level, and it's more about like what's beyond that. But what do you think of what's going on?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. That we are forced to look at what's important, basics. You know, hunker down with your family, have comfort food, play some games, do the basics. But all this weird things like social media or, you know, excessive fashion. I Mercedes versus a Chevy doesn't matter in a time like this. Even cars aren't important because you could run out of gas. And it shows you that things that we take for granted, we become complacent. They could change immediately. There could be a gas crisis. There could be a hurricanes crisis. Remember the fire in Australia? I mean, this could be due to climate change. I mean, there seems to be a lot of these flus that come from China. Maybe it's not climate change, but maybe it's just, like you said, an imbalance in our relationship with nature. Maybe bats aren't meant to be in cages in a market. So maybe we have to rethink a lot of things. Maybe it is about not eating meat and not having, getting back to a vegetarian society. But we're all consumers. If the supply chain is broken, like what is happening with China, because they make a lot of the products we know of, it might teach us that we don't need some of those products. So that's what I think. I think it's going to be a very telling time of what makes it through something like this and what doesn't, and how we look back on it and describe it.
What is interesting to me is that everyone seems to be slightly concerned. It doesn't matter like what age you are. Obviously the older people, I get why they're extremely concerned in some ways, but it's just like interesting. Everyone's freaked out. It's affecting so many people on so many different levels. Like, doesn't matter who you are, it's affecting their lives and your life in all these different ways. But I feel like there is a miscommunication though between what's really happening and slightly like we know it's a big deal, but I feel like the media and like the government, there is something like, I feel like there is stuff that we're not being told. Like, I feel like for them to shut things down the way that they're shutting things down, and I get why we are, because we want to quarantine for a while to like help with this, but like there is more to the story that like isn't being told, and I can see that. I can see it when we watch the news. I can see it when we're listening to like the leaders. I can see it like almost in their faces. Like I can see that there's something. I'm not trying to be fear mongering, but I feel like there is like something more to it. I'm like, or maybe they're just like scared in general, and it's kind of showing. I don't know.
I think that they know that what's happening in Italy is a really scary thing. The whole country being on shutdown and so many people dying. I think that's key to all of this. The reason that it worked okay in a way in Hunan is because it's an authoritarian state, and the Chinese are able to command the whole population to stay inside and follow their directions. Americans aren't like that. So I think it's going to be hard to manage state by state.
I guess we'll just have to stay tuned with that.
To see. But I think that the Dutch will do well because they're rule followers.
Yeah. It's better to be here than, since I came home from New York City, it's better to be here than New York, because New York was starting to get kind of scary. Like, it was literally a ghost town. All the stuff in the markets were like, I'm sure it's like that all over the country, but it was like all the stocks were taken. There weren't any like Airborne Perel. Like, people were starting to get like weird. Like, I even talked to this Uber, and he was saying how he saw two people fighting over toilet paper. And I was like, that's literally insane that... Oh. But it's literally insane that he like actually saw that.
That's crazy.
Like, actually. I'm like scared.
What? Are you scared?
You coughed.
No, I did.
But don't do it again.
And I didn't cough a while back. But now,
okay, but
now I've got a little
back to what I was saying. Yeah, so that's really weird for him to see that. Like, to actually hear someone say that is weird.
Right?
But, yeah. So,
I wonder if people are going out again in Wuhan.
I don't know.
Because they're rumored that it's getting a little better, but is that true or is that just a rumor from the Chinese?
I don't know.
Yeah, they're slowly coming out.
I hope
Or it
so.
could be that like all the old people died. They just didn't tell us, so there's only young people. I don't know.
Oh,
You know
God.
what I mean? I don't trust some of the things
I don't
hear.
trust what they're saying.
Yeah, because they just say what they put out.
Apparently, someone in North Korea had it and they killed them.
No.
And so no one has it anymore.
Yeah, but if they killed them.
I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard that.
But it sounds like it. It sounds like, oh my God, my sausage. Ah. Yeah. Sounds like North Korea.
I know. I don't know, because there's nothing really else to talk about. It's so weird. I would say to everyone, just like drink a lot of Airborne. I feel like Airborne, wash your hands,
Get some
wash
sun.
them for real, get some sun. Just take it easy.
Yeah.
Just take it easy.
Wait, paint your living room floor bright yellow.
Don't do that. That's not advised.
That's what I think. I think you should paint something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Either a painting or paint a piece of furniture.
Do something creative.
I think it's
Like that's why we're doing this podcast. Like it's creative. It's like an outlet, but you don't need to like be super social and like be around people because we got to be practicing that social distancing and isolation and quarantine a little bit. But I think to be the healthiest and by staying away from others, but you can be creative, have an outlet, do something that you never could have done because you were so busy, but now you have the time to do. That's what I think. Do something creative. Start writing, like taking photos, like going in nature, obviously in a secluded sense, not around a lot of people. Go into nature, walk on the beach. Just get close to that inner self, that inner time.
In France, they have groups of people taking picnics, but they walk 6 feet away from each other. And then they have a picnic and they sit 6 feet away from each other.
Yeah, that's really smart.
And they each bring their own food, yeah. So they can talk, but they're far enough apart and they're in nature.
And it's like social, but not because you want that social connection, like calling your friends on the phone, FaceTiming, like being with your family, social distancing, but like also being in touch with your creative side. These are all like good things to do. And even like you see the people in the apartment buildings in Italy, in Spain.
Singing, right?
Yeah, like in Spain. And they're singing like together. Like it's so beautiful to see that. Like even though they're in quarantine, they're singing. And then my dad said he was watching, since he's from the Netherlands, he was watching the Dutch news, and somebody tried to do that in Germany. And this guy, he started singing on the balcony, and this guy said, "Shut up," which I find kind of funny because it's like the same kind of feeling, like probably how like Boston can be, but I don't know. You never know, but it's just some of those times where it's like people are just like not as like that, not like that. But it's nice that people are doing that. It's nice. So yeah.
That is really funny. That's typical New England.
I'm just sad that everything is closing. Like I don't know, like Starbucks. I think I had my last Starbucks for like, I don't know, 2 weeks. I don't know, a month. I don't know.
Like be happier.
No,
healthier.
listen though. Starbucks, like Starbucks, I get it, but like it's nice to have like a coffee, and I get it, but it's weird to think that like I literally can't get it for 2 weeks or so. It's weird. It's crazy.
I think that's addiction talking.
Clearly I have an addiction. Oh my god, we need to stock up on alcohol.
I have a dozen bottles of wine.
That's not enough. This is not enough for me. Because I don't really drink wine.
I have gigantic other bottles.
Let's hope there's enough.
I have a lot of bread. Chocolate.
Oh, man.
in the cities, and all the people are fleeing to the countryside.
Yeah, my mom's like scared because we live on Cape Cod, and like even I came home from the city. We know a lot of people coming like to their summer houses, like getting away from the city, and like there's not as many hospitals here. So if people get sick, it's just gonna be like there's not as much hospitals for them. I don't know. And I know that's kind of like a scary thought, but it's just kind of like it's like gonna be overwhelming for the hospitals here because of that. I feel like in case people do need them, but I'm sure they can be outsourced.
What do they need? The people who have coronavirus, is it they need respirators? What is it they need?
People don't really talk about it, and that's what I find weird. Why aren't they communicating like it more of like what's actually going on? They just tell people that they died. They're like, oh yeah, another person died. It's like we know it's a respiratory illness, but like I wish there was just more information. It's just very like non-informative.
Describe it or interview a person who has it, or
nobody's been interviewed really. Like everyone, it's very like shush. It's very like no one's really talking about it. And what's weird to me, it's just weird.
The other thing is cruise ships. They make them sit on the cruise ships. It can't be good because the air on the cruise ships and it circulates.
What scares me is that like it went through the ventilators on cruise ships. That's how contagious it is. It went through like the vents. That's weird. That's like that was a rumor though. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I thought happened. It could have just been like people came into contact with each other. Okay, yeah, I think that was a rumor.
Yeah, over and over again.
It must have just been like
You need fresh air.
you need fresh air, and that's what happens on a Carnival cruise. You get stuck in the same spot, and then like, or like people touch the same surfaces, and it like stays on there for a while. But because you're on a cruise, like it's also like small spaced.
The sun is a disinfectant.
The sun's a disinfectant. Fresh air. You need fresh air to like disinfect, to spread the air. You can't be stuck in like in a room that like doesn't have any air. Like these are what people are doing on cruise ships. I literally know people that like didn't get on cruise ships, which is smart because of what's going on. I think like the cruise ship industry and then like the airline industry, travel industries are definitely suffering for real. And now restaurants are going to be suffering.
I know.
You don't have to say his name, but D.
Someone we know.
Is he?
Who has a bunch of restaurants. Yeah, no, it's you have to, he's okay, but he has to abide by the rule of closing. And then the poor people who work for him, they have to go on unemployment. So he just has to hold his breath and try and get through it and hope he has enough reserves. I mean, that's like little stores are the same thing. They have no customers.
At least this happened in March, because March was like a slow time anyway. That was like a buffer.
Thank goodness. Because March already is quiet. That's true. I mean, it has to be gone by the season, being end of June.
Well, I'm glad delivery places are still opened. Are they still going to be open in Massachusetts?
Yep.
Oh, thank God.
And pick up.
Pick up.
So we could order it when we get back home. We'll call and we'll pick it up. And they put it in your trunk. It's called curbside service.
It's because they don't want us to come in.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And we don't want
Them to come in.
them. So what we do is we pop open the trunk.
And then we disinfect what they gave us.
Yeah. And
By
then
spraying
they
it.
have gloves.
Okay.
And they like touch the bag and put it down.
Oh my God. Okay,
I
that
know.
makes
And
sense.
after hearing that, I think of all the times like I picked up bags that someone else touched, and receipts and pens to sign.
No,
things,
because
and
when I
I'm
watched
like,
Contagion, that's what happened. Like,
oh,
the girl picked up her phone, then the girl swiped the credit card, then somebody else did this, somebody else did that, and it was like, I'm never touching you. Like,
really?
yeah,
Knew it.
you got to Perel. Perel is literally like the way to be.
Do you think so? Or is it baloney like masks?
I think masks are baloney.
I think this is baloney. I think all of it's baloney. Just
I don't
wash
think
your
it
hands
is.
with hot water and soap.
I think Perel helps though.
Maybe.
I think
I'm
so.
not sure.
I think so,
Maybe it
because
just wipes it around. Does it really kill?
no, it kills it.
Kills everything but 1%.
Oh my god, why I have to feel
Where's
this?
that 1%?
You're paranoid. I should have brought the Clorox wipes.
You have Pearl right here. I don't know. It doesn't like chemicals cause cancer in your body, so I'm so anti-chemical that I'm like, well, which is worse? To have chemicals? I don't want to have bleach on my hands. You're supposed to wear gloves with bleach. You don't want too much bleach because then you get,
Well, I definitely recommend people washing their hands, using Purell in a time like this. I don't know for how you should do it all the time,
Yeah, right.
but like in a time like this, use Purell. Wash your hands always really well. Don't ever touch your face.
Oh,
And like,
all the time my face itches all the time. Right now my eyebrows itching. See, my head just itched.
oh my god.
I'm thinking about it.
Oh my god. You need to chill. But it sucks that all the bars are closed. Like, that does suck. For the next 2 weeks, there's like nothing to do at all.
Yeah, but bars
Oh
aren't-
man.
It's just a distraction. I know at your age, it's like, what? Bars are fun. What do you get out of them? I don't.
It's just like once a week you want to go. The fact that you can't is
Yeah.
weird.
Tell us about Miami. Were they even aware of the coronavirus down there? Did you feel like
The airport in Miami was crazy, guys, because literally people were wearing, like, starting to wear masks. Like, everyone was chaotic, running in circles, and it just seemed like literally the end of the world, like the beginning of an end of the world movie. And literally my dad was like, I'm gonna come down if like the airport shut down. And then with my brother, like, they had to change his flight because of the European travel bans. They had to change his flight to Monday instead. So it was kind of like a weird moment. But when he gets in the car, I'm literally like Purelling his whole body. He better not have a cough. Because they won't let him in if he has a cough.
And they'll probably check him twice. When he leaves Dublin and then when he gets into this country. It's super careful.
Thank God for like the CDC, all those places. I've been like, I don't know why, but I've been watching like The Walking Dead.
Oh, no.
And it's just like, oh my God.
But you know what I like about The Walking Dead? There's never, ever, ever going to be a disease where people run around and bite people, but they're dead. You can't. There's like no such thing.
We don't
The
know
body can't move,
that.
the body's dead.
We do not know for sure.
Oh, stop it. How is it possible for the body to be dead? Let's see. Is it like a virus that takes over the brain?
Yeah, that's what happened. It took over the brain after they died. So they had the virus, and then when you die, it uses what's left of your body as a host, and it like infects your brain, and it's able to like move and walk and able to like eat flesh, because I think that's how it gets its strength going, is by like eating more flesh for some reason, because that does make sense. Like, it needs meat, and it probably likes, it wants to infect you to keep it surviving, and by it biting you or like eating you, it allows you to die, so then it survives within you and it comes to life within you. So I think that's why it likes doing that.
Oh,
And then so it's
wow.
spreading, and so that's why all of a sudden that happened. But I mean, they've actually seen that happen, and I think it was an underground fish, like exotic fish, really low below the surface, one of those like really like hard to find fish that like only like are really deep in the sea. There was like an illness that like caused that to happen, where the thing like took over its brain, it took over the host. So it technically could happen, but it's very rare, and I don't know, they haven't seen anything like that in humans.
I mean, there is rabies, where people become a bit crazed and they're thirsty, and you feel like somebody's like manic on rabies, but I don't think they zombie thing is such a strange concept.
It's just very interesting because it's very like end of the world apocalyptic. It's like, what would you do in apocalypse? That's sometimes what I'm like, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, disease or nature or war or aliens. There's a lot of different scenarios. We've seen all those movies. I can't stand them because they're so alarming.
It would be really scary because you think like raiding like a grocery store would be fun because you're like, I get Cheetos for free. It's not like that. It's like literally like people literally like fighting over toilet paper, and that's already been seen by people. And like, imagine if it got worse.
Like, people get desperate. Imagine that they're thirsty and there's no water. People can really be awful when they're hungry. If there's no food.
There's a real thing, like, people really do lose it when they're really hungry.
Yeah, so there's a lot of potential. Imagine if they're all starving.
On drugs, it's kind of like the same when people are, like, really hungry.
Yeah. They steal. And it's life and death. So who's right? Should the storekeeper be allowed to defend their product from someone who's dying? It's a very strange quandary. You know? And what would the government do? Start shooting people? You know, have martial law?
That's why I usually would say, like, I know this is a really dramatized thing we're talking about. It's, like, very, like, extra. And I know this is, like, not what's happening. And it's just something, like, we're talking about because of all these movies. And it's just an interesting topic. And I would say, like, obviously for me, I think, like, regulation on so many things is good. But, like, in a situation like this, I think this is partly why people do want, like, you know, to have rights over their being able to she keeps coughing.
I didn't.
You literally need to stay away from me. But no, I'm not kidding. But
I have to watch it. My age. Stage. And I'm super social.
you can't be social for the next 2 weeks.
I know.
That's why you've been painting. But I don't know what I was even saying, but I think with weapons and being able to protect yourself and arm yourself, you know, it is an interesting issue right now just because, not just right now, but like if something were to go into martial law or things were to get kind of scary, like I can see why people will want weapons to defend themselves, but it would just all have to be played by ear. I think we'd all figure it out. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's how I feel about it. It's like you wish no one had guns. You wish that, but knowing that people do, like you want your own. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's why. But obviously we could have fixed this a while back, but I don't know.
I know. You want a gun because somebody else has one. You don't want anyone to have them.
It's really... Does Hank have guns, or he doesn't believe in that?
Nope. He does not believe in it.
But on a brighter note, it's a beautiful day out.
It is. It's beautiful. But it's hard to talk about anything else.
I know, I'm trying.
I can't think of my visitor center idea that I have because it seems irrelevant and stupid in this time. Like, who wants to go to a packed visitor center? Anything, like a concert. All of it just doesn't seem right at the moment. Because you're trying to not attract people outside of their places. And I try to promote business. And I'm in a quandary about having people go out or not. What is the wisdom? The wisdom is stay home.
If any of those stores have online presence, they could have it delivered.
Yeah, that's right.
If any of your stores do, Mom.
You need delivered, yeah. by
Like
UPS.
food delivery.
What about this UPS man? I mean, are they wearing gloves? They must be.
There must be like a protocol.
Yeah, because it lasts on boxes.
They must have to spray the boxes.
And I have to sign a thing when I get a box at work. I put my finger on it and I sign it.
Yeah, but just wash your hands after. You can't go to work for a week, right?
I shouldn't really. Cindy and I were going to meet up tomorrow at 9:30, but we'll sit far apart. But I don't think I should go to work because I have you coming from New York, Alex coming from Amsterdam, and she's seen her kids, but I don't think she knows how bad it is. She didn't spend the whole weekend watching the news.
I know you guys.
Philly, and she said, "Oh, Philadelphia, they're barely talking about it." So anyone who's been in a different place where they're not talking about it,
it is weird because getting to the Northeast is much more than it was when I was in Miami. When I was in Florida, it was not a thing. When I got to the airport, it was a thing. When I got to New York, it was beyond. It was beyond. Like, that was everything. That was the only thing. That was the only thing that people were. And then when I get to Cape, it's Cape Cod, it's more spread out. But, like, people are still really obsessed with it here. Like, Mass, people are obsessed with it.
Yeah.
So.
It's an old state, and it's very well educated. And it's very international, so people are coming in and out. I mean, all those students that have to go home.
For a whole semester. Like, I always feel bad because some of the people are graduating class. They didn't know that was their last class ever.
Oh, that's a good point. So they're just going to come back and graduate, but they don't get to finish off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad. They sort of get cheated.
It was so important to me to have, like, my commencement ball, like, that commencement party ball. And, like, I had so many memories, so many, like, fun times. I had my internship. I had all these things. And I get, like, why people are halting that right now. But, like, to know if that was, like, the last semester for somebody. Like, at least Parker has another year. So it's, like, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, if that was his last year, you know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
Right. If he had plans. Because he wants to do an internship I think at the Capitol. That could be taken away.
I know, and it's weird to say this, but Washington, D.C. has to be pretty careful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of important people that work there that are important for our government to function. And they're old, like my mom said. They're potentially old and could be. And for them, we have to make sure that they're healthy, that they don't have to get into contact with people unnecessarily. So it's kind of a weird moment. It's like in Contagion, they literally put the president in a bunker in that movie. And it's like low-key, like they test the president, all this stuff. But it's like they have to make sure that like the president of the United States doesn't get infected with it.
Keep Trump safe.
Oh, God.
Keep Trump safe.
A lot of people didn't think they would have to say that.
I know. We need our president, and the debate seems so secondary. You know, when you really think about it. All they did was talk about it because there's no other topic. It's so strange that a flu from China has become our topic.
Like, even with the swine flu, like, it was a big deal for a couple months, but it wasn't the only thing people were talking about. There were other things going on. Like, life wasn't completely halted.
Yeah.
With this, the life is completely halted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worse than we think. I think it's because it's so, for the really bad cases, it takes so much equipment in the hospital, so then the beds are overflowing. And then I think in Italy, a lot of people died because they weren't getting any treatment. So there was a high death rate. It's not necessarily deadly if they have all the equipment.
Well, I would just say, like, I know this is a heavy topic, and I know everyone's trying to be careful. Just, like, wash their hands, you know, social distance, take some time for yourself, do some self-care stuff that you don't normally get to do. But it's also important for everyone to, like, see this and realize what's happening, but also focus on, like, what really matters and, like, kind of go inward and take some time for yourself, you know? Like, watch some good movies, watch Netflix, play games with your family, like, take it easy and just kind of, like, go with that. And I think that's a really positive message for people to, like, see that they can come together and, like, just work with each other on this. And I think this will make everything, you know, be put into, like, a better perspective. You know what I mean? Like, better way of thinking. So as long as you stay cozy and positive, get some hot chocolate, just relax. That's what I can say. So thanks for listening. The next podcast will definitely be hopefully a lighter one. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Wash your hands.